Hi, in today's video we're going to demonstrate how to remove a seat from a Volkswagen Touran. This is a 2007, would be the same for any of the 1T range, and I expect that it will be very similar in a Mark V Golf. So my entire project is to transfer just about everything out of that Highline Touran into my trend line. That one's an insurance write-off. And I don't think it's economical to repair some of the forklift damage underneath. So what I prefer to do is the trend line's got a blown motor, and we're now moving not just the motor but xenon headlights and all the comfort stuff into the trend line. So the seats are considerably better in the Highline. We've already changed the back seats, and you'll notice that the pattern and the sort of fabric is a lot nicer than that of the trend line. So now we're on to the next stage when we change over the front seats, and you can already see the contrast between the front and the rear. The rear's over the Highline and the front still on the trend line. So we're gonna try to get these out and put the Highline front seats in. The tools that you need for this project would be some sort of driver. I'm using this 3/8 ratchet, and I'm using these two sockets. One is M10 and the other is T20. I would seriously suggest using these and not trying to use a hex key instead, because you're going to damage the bolts and you want to be able to tighten them down properly. And if you damage the bolts, you won't be able to do that. I'm also using this little blade to cut off a piece of tape that retains the cables. You want to start off by disconnecting your battery to avoid getting any trouble with the airbag light, because you've got a airbag in the seat, and you've also got the seat belt stock connected. And as long as you disconnect the battery before and reconnect it after, once everything's plugged in, you would not get any errors. So we'll start off by moving the seat all the way back to expose two M10 triple square or spline bolts. One right there and the other right there. There are two at the back as well. So I'm going to go ahead, pass the camera to my assistant while I undo those. They're not too difficult to get at. Quite a direct fit. So I've got the M10 spline socket into the bolt, firmly holding it in so it doesn't strip any of the teeth, and I start to turn anti-clockwise. A few turns on there and it's loose, and I can now untighten it by hand. So that's the inner one done. Keep the bolt safe, and moving on to the outer. Again, holding it down firmly to not strip any of the teeth, turning anti-clockwise, 2 or 3 turns, and it's loose enough to then get out by hand. Again, keep that bolt safe. I'm now going to move the seat all the way forward, pulling up the lever, and I'll move to the rear bolts. Just to make life a little bit easier, I'm going to tilt the backrest forward. Right, so we've exposed the rear bolts. The one on the left here, again, still M10. The one on the right here, the same M10. And right at the bottom here, we've got on this plastic cover, we've got a T20. What I'll do first is I'll open up that T20 and expose the airbag and seatbelt stock wiring. Here I've got my T20. Get it in there. A few light turns. Can probably get it out by hand now. It's easier than trying to get the ratchet in there. Try not to strip off that bolt. Take your time. Don't yank at it, get the front out first. It unclips there lightly and then slowly slide it forward. You'll see that there's 3 tabs. You don't want to break those off, so sliding it forward will get the piece off without breaking the tabs. And you'll now notice that we've got wiring in there, and we want to get that wiring get the wiring out. At first glance it looks a little bit different from the other car, just ever so slightly, and I'll just unclip the cables out of the retainer and use my blade very carefully, cut through the tape that's holding it in place and get those wires separated. And now they're now out of the taped area. I've moved this tab slightly backward here. Can you see that springy action? I'll move it all the way back and pull that plug apart. This one's a little bit trickier, the black one. You got to move this little tab outward ever so slightly, pull the plug apart. So again, there's a little black tab here. You move it outward ever so slightly to free up from this barb and pull the plug apart. We've now got the cabling out. It's still stuck in the little cable tray at the front here. Once it pops out, this cable is now free. We can undo the bolts. Just gonna get my M12 socket back onto the tool and undo the bolts. Starting on the right side, I free that easily and open it up by hand. And now for the left side, very easy to get at these. Just be sure not to strip off the teeth on the bolt. Loosen up that very quickly, anti-clockwise, pull the bolt out, and now clear up your space. Make sure that your cable is not caught in anything. Move your tools, your bolts into a safe area, and lift up the seat. That seat's now free. I'm going to move it backwards on its rails. Moving the seats backwards on its rails, lifting up the seat by grabbing the rear end firmly and turning. Be sure to clear the steering wheel and all plastic panels. You don't want the rails to scrape any of your plastic panels. Do it slowly and carefully, and there you go, you're free. The reverse of removal. Thank you very much for watching.